Namaste, Jai Bharat. Uzbekistan used to be with the former Soviet Union, I suppose. There are some nations, Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, etc. Now, Uzbekistan is a 98 to 99% Muslim country. I don't know to what extent they call themselves Islamic nation, but a nation like Pakistan, that's from where the bugging report comes, calls them as Islamic nations. Similar is the case with Tajikistan. They are also 98 to 99% Muslim countries, but then the kind of Islam what is in Tajikistan is entirely different from the kind of Islam that Pakistan wants to conceive of, or the Pakistan wants to say that they are Muslim, otherwise they are Kafirs. Now, Pakistan has got a perspective of how or what a Muslim should be, though they keep telling their hum Musliman hai, but then they have a kind of perception, and many people in the world, actually almost all people in the world, don't belong to the frame of the perception of what an Islam should be. That is a problem with them, problem with their thinking, understanding, perspective, and all kinds of things. Now, Tajikistan is already de-linked religion with the culture. They don't have any madrasas in their country. They don't teach that kind of fundamentalistic Islamism. Nonetheless, they are Muslims. They believe, the God believers. They do pray, they do celebrate, they do everything as a legitimate Muslim should do, and they are very Islamic kind of people. But then, unlike Pakistan, Uzbekistan has very recently, declared that one need not to wear burqa, one need not to celebrate religious festivals like Eid. One need not to take fasting, and there is no compulsion from the part of religion to any of their citizens. This is one thing which Uzbekistan recently brought out. And one more thing, it's only after the age of 18 a person should be allowed to go to the mosque for any kind of religious indoctrination. This is brilliant. Right from younger days, the religious indoctrination takes place in places like Pakistan, and it should not be the case, as is what Uzbekistan says. So this has been done. Nothing new, because Tajikistan is already that, and they are really progressing. Uzbekistan simply follows suit. So the Maulavis have shown their place. Maulavis have shown their place in the sense you act when you are asked for, you speak when you are wanted. Do not interfere in the lives of a society, trying to indoctrinate and brainwash small children of the society who are future of society. So this is after 18 only you can, a person is permitted to go into the mosques for any kind of religious training, indoctrination. I say any kind of religious training, education, whatever it is. So the madrasa question is closed in toto, as I understand. The madrasa question does not exist anymore, and that alone would save a society, because we don't know what has been taught in the madrasa, and we don't know who are the kind of lettered people who are teaching things. The Maulavis are Maulavis, and we don't understand to what extent they understand things. They understand their own religion. To what extent, we don't know. And most often our experience is that it's very, very pathetic and wrong kind of interpretations. Mostly, see, a person thinks it's very speculative interpretations. That's the point. Like you just sit and think, and then you understand things in your own way with no particular logic and system, and then keep talking about it. For you, you think that's the case. Precisely what the Pakistani society you find in, people speak that this should be the case. Now, some of the reaction videos which we see, there are a lot of reaction videos in Pakistan that you come across that someone out there in the road talking to people with mics in their hand. How do you react to this? And most of the people in Pakistan, most not whosoever came into mic and spoke. They said they are not Muslims. They did not use the word, many people, they did not use the word kafir, but then they spoke as if they are kafir. They said they can't be Muslims. This is not Islam. And they speak, this is not Islamic culture. Now here is a point which I would want to think about. Is it anything like Islamic culture? Because Islam is a religion, like any other religion in the world, and religion is not culture. And religion is absolutely not culture, because culture belongs to the land or a society, and religion is entirely different. Yes, there is a link between culture and religion, because when a religion travels from one society to another society, that religion shuns the erstwhile culture of that society in that particular society from where they came, and adopts the culture of the new society where they went entering. I give examples. Buddhism, the Bauddha Dharma, also Hindu Dharma, originates in Bharat. So here, if you talk about the Buddhist Sanskrit, Buddhist culture, they are just one with the Veda-Upanishadic knowledge tradition. That's a Bharatiya Sanskrit. But then the Buddhism, they goes to Sri Lanka. And there what happens is Sri Lanka is not culturally that different from Bharatiya Sanskrit. Nonetheless, they have their own unique culture. Sri Lanka has their own culture of the land. And Buddhism, which enters Sri Lanka, shuns the culture, earlier culture, which in a culture which they began or evolved or began, shuns that culture and adopts the culture of the land. Then that such religion gets acculturized into new society, new land. New land precisely means new society. Then Buddhism goes to Tibet. Tibet has a different way of culture, life and society, culture. That Buddhism adopts Tibetan culture. Buddhism goes to Japan. When Buddhism enters Japan, Buddhism shuns original Bharatiya culture and adopts Japanese culture and branches and develops higher into something called as Zen Buddhism, etc. They developed in their culture frame of their own culture framework that actually enriches the Buddhist tradition. Then they are going to China. In China, Buddhism develops into Confucianism, Taoism, which belongs to the culture of China. So it is branched out again, becoming more rich. When you talk about Buddhism, all these things becomes an integral part of Buddhism. Different branches, so rich they become, with many cultures getting adopted into different branches. You might belong to one branch or the other branch, you might practice one branch or the other branch, but nonetheless your religion becomes more and more rich and more vibrant and more intense and more powerful. This is how religion develops and grows. Now, Hindu Dharma. There are many Hindus all over the world. There are many Hindus within Bharat. There are Hindus all over the world. The Hindus abroad, do not necessarily carry the culture of one particular. No, in Bharat itself, though we have one culture with multiple variations, but practically when you see a Hindu Dharma goes to another place, it's one of the variations of Bharatiya Sanskrit that goes, and that variation is not necessarily adopted by the people of those places. Maybe there are influences, but they have their own unique culture. The Hindu Dharma actually goes into newer land, newer society. It adopts that culture into its fold of epistemology, its epistemological fold, and then precipitates and develops and branches and grows. This is precisely what happened. You can look at Bali, you can look at many other places in the world. Angkor Wat is the biggest temple in the world, one of the biggest temples in the world. Many places in Hindu Dharma go. So we don't say that they carry the culture of Bharat. They adopt the culture of that land. Same is the case with all religions. Christianity had come to Bharat long before. And they got the Malabar coast, if I understand rightly, to begin with. And though they got acculturized to the land, one of the oldest Christians in the world are the Christians of the southern India. And they have their kinds of culture. The religion, Christianity, has adopted the culture of the land and developed and flourished and enriched the Christian tradition. They remain connected to their central root, whether it is the Syrian tradition or the Lebanese kind of relations, whatever, or with the Roman Catholics. They have that links, but their culture belongs to the land. The culture doesn't belong to religion. Religion actually is carrying culture. Religion is carrier of culture. It carries culture from generations to generations. But when it enters to a different society, it shuns the culture of the restful society to adopt the new society's culture into its own fold. That's how religion becomes a religion of the people of that land. Otherwise, the religion should necessarily remain as an alien thing. Now, with the Uzbekistan story, the Pakistani Muslims are very saddened in capital letters, crooked capital letters, that they cease to be Muslims, they are not Muslims. Because for him, or for the Pakistanis, they don't understand. They have done this fundamental mistake. Pakistanis means Pakistani Punjabis, not Pakistani Baluchis. The Baluchis retain their culture, the Pathans retain their culture, the Multanis to great extent retain their culture, but the Punjabis did not retain the Punjabi culture, because Punjabi culture is essentially Hindu culture, and somehow they shunned it off. They shunned it off, and they don't have any other culture. Then they thought the Arab culture can be theirs. Arab culture can never be theirs. It belongs to the Arab. You can never ape an Arab and become an Arab. They have their distinct ways, and they are in it. Their culture is thriving. You cannot imitate that. That's how the Arab world also don't take Pakistanis seriously, because they don't have any originality in them. So such people, such society suffers from this very inescapable identity crisis. They do not know who they are. They confuse between religion and culture, and they keep treating religion as a culture, which can never be the case. Religion is a faith system. It's a faith system. It has nothing to do with culture in that sense of the term. It adopts the culture of the land and flourishes. And it already left the culture of the land from where it migrated to you. In case of Pakistan, the religion had come from some other place. Maybe because the whole thing began with the Muhammad Qasim's invasion to Sindh, the beginning. Then, of course, it continued to different stages, to the Mughals, etc., multiple stages. But there itself, Qasim, of course, came from the Arab land. He was an Arab. But the Mughals are not Arabs. They already had an admixtured kind of understanding. They had their own culture. And with that, they come to rule Bharat. They again got mixed up with the existing Bharatiya local culture. And all these things takes place. So, the Pakistani Punjabi Muslims do not know where they stand. So they have this identity crisis, cultural crisis, but they keep believing and propagating that Islam is a culture, which is not the case. No religion is a culture, not just Islam. If Islam is a culture, you should be like Arabs. But the culture, original culture of Islam is Arab, which is not necessary for others. Look at Turkey. Look at the name of Turkish people, Erdogan, not an Arabic name. And that Himagol, it's not an Arabic name. It is very close affinity to the language of Sanskrit. Hima means with snow, and Gol means sphere, small bowl. It can mean snowball. Himagol can mean in Sanskrit snowball. It's not an Arab name. Look at such things in the world. The Tadakis, the Kazakhs, the Uzbekis, they have their own distinct culture. They don't follow the peripheral things of a culture which from a land with which they have nothing much to do. They are distinct people, they have their own culture, and the culture is what really makes who they are. And the faith system, religion is for transcendental purpose. Not really, not much also for moral purposes. Religion is for the purpose of transcendence to human being who was an inbuilt longing towards a transcendental Rodolfo calls it as the fundamental intentionality of human consciousness towards a sacred. That's how I think Rodolfo of Harvard tries to define religion. And look at this. The Pakistanis are pained, worried, and disturbed, and going sleepless nights. The Uzbekistan says is they become non-Muslims. Yes, whatever doesn't fall into the frame requirement of Pakistanis, they call them as kafirs. So as a result, every other person in the world, every other Muslim in the world is a kafir to Pakistani until he's a Punjabi. No wonder they fight one another. No wonder the villages find it difficult to coexist with them. No wonder the Pathans find it difficult to coexist with the Punjabis of Pakistan. Because this remains a fact that the villages retain their culture. They all keep their names, they keep the Baluch as a title, most of them. And the names are not typically Arabic. And of course, Pathans, they have the Arabic names all right. But they have the Pathani culture. They retain it. They have not left it. They keep it. They are Muslims. They have their religion. But then they don't mix culture with religion. Pakistanis don't have culture. So they think that it's an Islamic culture. And try to be like Arabs, which must be really disgusting to the Arabs. It must really be disgusting to the Arabs. So it explains why the Arabs don't welcome Pakistanis beyond a point. I am not using the word dislike, but they don't really welcome them beyond a point. We shall be taken with some other thought. Till then, it is Namaste. Jai Bharat, Jai Shri Ram.